So, welcome back to our Spotlight interview series. Gives me great pleasure this afternoon to introduce you to Ollie from Portsmouth Aviation. Ollie's CFO. So, good afternoon, Ollie.
Good afternoon, Steve. Nice to see you again.
And you. Ollie, just tell us a little bit of background. Tell us a little bit about Portsmouth Aviation.
Yeah, sure. So I am the CFO of Portsmouth Aviation. I've been working in an executive capacity for nearly 3 years now. It's a aerospace and defence manufacturer. We've got about 170 permanent staff. It does fluctuate a little bit, and probably about 10 temps. So we've got a fairly big staff base. Although a vanity measure, just to give you an idea of what sort of business we're doing, this year we're forecast to turn over and recognise about £45 million.
Nice.
On top of that, I've actually got two other roles. I'm a director of a company called PA 1996, which is a commercial property company. Got assets in the region of £2 million and moderate yield to suit. And then the third role, which is not a side hustle, but it's done on the side of this existing role, is I'm the general manager of a guest house in Southsea. So it's a 10-apartment guest house. If you ever need somewhere to stay, let me know. We can sort it out. And that's not an active role. I just manage all the senior aspects and all the administrative aspects of that business. So yeah, 3 roles, but primarily CFO of Portsmouth Aviation.
Nice. So kind of being in the aviation world and manufacturing world, start back a couple of years then and say, look, as you went through that transition of COVID and the time kind of since then, what's the impact's been on business? What impacts have you seen at Portsmouth Aviation?
So, although we're called Portsmouth Aviation, primarily we are a defence contractor. So I've got to be quite careful about what I tell you there. But for COVID, it didn't really impact us all that much. And what I would actually say, and this is more of a sort of a personal comment, I saw productivity go through the roof as a result of the pandemic, because for me, where I was working in an executive capacity, I was present and I had to be on site. Whereas primarily, if you're a computer user, you were at home. And what became apparent is the amount of noise associated with an office. And when you remove that noise, conversations become really deliberate and scheduled and planned. And what it meant for me is just hyper focus. So I would actually say that I developed more in the pandemic than I had done in the previous however many years I was working in the space. So I think the pandemic basically just brought productivity to its max in our space anyways, and certainly for me as an individual.
So kind of using that then, excuse me, and seeing the gain from that productivity, as in like for yourself or as a business, have you kind of continued any of those? Have you taken any of the key learnings and actions and actually built those kind of into the day-to-day running of the business to keep productivity increased?
Well, it allowed me to set the foundations. So absolutely. It meant that I could achieve, well, in my mind, I feel like I got 3 years worth of work done in 1 year. So all the things I wanted to establish are now routinely operating. So 100% it has made that difference.
Nice. So kind of on that journey then, so over the last, I guess, 3-4 years for yourself, what would you say the biggest learnings you've had as you stepped up to kind of like that director level within the business?
So for me, the biggest learning is being able to discipline your emotions. And focus purely on facts, because if you focus purely on facts, any difficult decision becomes 10 times easier, right? And a little analogy, and this is something I've got in my office and it's cryptic. So behind me is a chair, just there. At the bottom is a scale. So on one side, it says EMO, or emotional, and on the other side it says INT, intellectual. So when someone sits in the chair and they come in with a problem, that schedule is behind that range is behind them, and I will look at them and think, do you really mean what you're saying? Have you spoken to who it is you're criticizing? Have you actually taken the necessary measures, established all the facts, and then come to me with a problem, or is it just an emotional problem? So that for me is something I've been so conscious about throughout my journey, is just facts only, not interested in personal bias. Facts.
Nice. So what would you say kind of the biggest issues that you've faced and overcome have been in business in the last 12 months or so?
So for me personally, once again, is imposter syndrome due to my age.
Yeah.
So the average age in this business is 48.
Yeah.
I'm now 32. I joined the board at 29, and I had a bit of a complex about being maybe too young or too inexperienced, but I've 100% overcome that now, and through a lot of self-belief and a lot of work, I do not feel like age is an issue anymore.
Nice. And what would you say then? How does that link into your motivation, Ollie? What's like the biggest motivator for you to kind of keep climbing that ladder and getting better and better in business?
So naively, when I was younger, it was chase the money.
Yeah.
Then once you chase the money, you realize it's not about the money. And all of a sudden, it all becomes about learning. Learning is everything. The minute you stop learning, the minute you're not going to be interested in what you're doing, or it's going to get flat, it's going to get stale. So you just got to keep learning new stuff. And I see it all the time, so even here. And what I do to keep things fresh is 15 minutes on the way in and 15 minutes on the way home, audiobooks. Just listen.
Yeah, nice.
Just
Yeah.
listen to new stuff. And yeah, you might have 3 days where you think, oh mate, I've not learned anything. I've not learned anything at all. But there'll be one nugget and that will transform your whole day. So
100%. So what do you think that's kind of helped you learn about yourself then? Excuse me. So you said talk there about motivation, shifting from money to learning. What's that kind of journey taught you about yourself, really, rather than from a business aspect?
So I think there is a massive difference between being intelligent and smart.
Right.
You can be the most intelligent person in the room, but if you can't convey your ideas, you've lost your audience, right? So
100%.
I think that I've always focused on the audience and dumb it down, explain it like you're talking to a dog. I know it sounds stupid, but no one wants to hear the noisy bits. They just want to hear what they want to hear.
Yeah.
So they get your output, they take that output, they use that output, right? So just be smart, don't be intelligent, and I stand by that. So
Nice motto for that. So that's kind of like where you've come in the journey so far. What does the future look like? So what's the future of Portsmouth Aviation look like? What's the future for you personally look like?
So for Portsmouth Aviation moving into 23, we've got a really solid order book,
Nice.
which we can draw some like massive immediate comfort from. I'm already forecasting profitability for next year before we win any future work. So I mean that's huge, right? Some people have a 3-month window. We've got the next financial year sewn up. The challenge is margin erosion.
Okay.
So when you're in the manufacturing space,
Yeah.
supply chain is key, right? And that's got to be navigated so carefully when you've got long-term contracts that were priced 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Even a year ago, even 6 months ago, it's gone that wild. So yeah, margin erosion is key and heavy focus of mine. Obviously, there's the cost base. We're forecasting 5-fold increase in energy.
Wow.
Business rates are going up 70% over the next 2 years. I've just negotiated with the union the biggest pay rise this place will have seen in my time, and I've been here 12 years. So really, the value for money concepts needs to be at the forefront of everyone's mind here because things are changing. I think we're in for a bumpy 2 years, both business-wise and personally. So yeah, lots of careful management required.
And it's great, obviously, with that focus then and making sure that the financial results there for the business as well. So I guess my final question really for you today then is, what advice would you be looking to give someone that was starting up in business? They're looking to go out, start their first business. What's your kind of number one piece of advice you'd give them?
So I've got two. One's quick, one's a little longer. First one is try and employ people with more of a founder's mindset, not someone who just wants a job, because you want people that are creatives, not sheep that are going to work by default. Because if they're creatives, they will complement you. It will lead to all sorts. Second is get help, but if that help is 80% as good as you would do it, but the 20% isn't critical, move on to the next task. That's progress, right? So yeah, that's my tip. Find people with a bit more of a founder's mindset. I'm not saying entrepreneurial whizzes, just people that you can see they want to grow and they want to grow with you.
They want to grow as individuals and help you grow your business, right?
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, they're my two.
Amazing. Look, Ollie, I really appreciate you taking time to speak for us today. Thanks so much. I think there's a lot to take away from that, and a lot of learnings for the local community. So thanks again.
Not a problem. Thank you, Steve.
No worries. Look, I wish you all the best for your future, Ollie. Take care.
Thank you. See you later.
Cheers.